Saludos y bienvenidos a todos to the PGP Podcast, episode 76. Love the shirt there, Moreno. Hey, Josh Tobar, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA. Ready to rock and roll. After a week off, we had our October break, ready to go and hit the grind for the second report card, the second part of the school year ready. But you know what? I want to take this time right now to thank you, everybody out there who's seen the show live or on the rebroadcast. Thank you for being here, because one of the luxuries that we don't have is time, and you're sharing your time with us. So thank you very much for being part of the show, being part of the broadcast. Remember that we are part of the Fantastic Four Network, with every Saturday, Super Saturday with Coach Sean Hurt. You want to know about data? That's your cat. You want to know about turning in around school? After that at 10:30, you've got Tammy and Shika, the doctors, and you can't finish El Jefe, Principal Cafele, the third show on Super Saturday. And we are the close-off hitter, the PGP Podcast, Puras Ganas. So please make sure that you like and share it. Like and share all of these shows, part of this network, because this is free PD for you. And remember, iron sharpens iron. So if you want to be part of the show also, we need you. We need your experiences. We need your voice. We need everything. You're South Dakota. It doesn't matter if you're in Maine or you are in Florida. If you're in Alaska or you're in Hawaii or anywhere in the 48 middle, we need your experiences, because we're all in the same grind. We're all doing the same thing. We're builders. We're building the future of this gorgeous nation, this beautiful melting pot, and we're all in it together. Moreno, ¿cómo estás tú? How are you doing?
Josh, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm with my spiders up here. So you know what? I'm home. I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm enjoying myself and getting ready for a very, very busy week. I know you said you're coming back from vacation or from a holiday or from a little break. I've been working extremely hard. I have a little project that I was working on. I finished it. I'm so excited. And I'm going to take a little mini break and going to Guatemala to visit the students who are graduating, because, those students finish the year in October, believe it or not. They're done. They're done for the year. They start a new year in January. So I'm going to go to their graduation. They invited me. And so, ta-da, I'm going.
If anyone wants to help out that school, do they reach out to you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Just send me right there at Newcomer Success on any platform, DM me. And yeah, absolutely. Taking 3 suitcases. And then, of course, when I go to Tanzania in November, I'm also supporting those families and at school as well. So yeah, let me know. They need everything. So think about it. Shoes, crayons, any manipulatives, all that stuff works.
Beautiful. So it's about helping each other out for the whole gamut of your ecosystem that you do, helping EB students and students in other countries. And soon, my friend, you're going to Tanzania with the Swahilis, where they speak Swahili and French. Yes. What are you going to be doing there?
Next month, I'll be going. I'm actually taking some engineers who are going to help us put solar lights on campus, because there's no lights there, and the kids are, they just need some light to get back to the dorms after school. And so, yeah, I'm taking 2 engineers with me and helping them put solar panels. So I'm taking 4 suitcases full of solar panels. God help me when I go through customs, because they're probably wondering, Señora, ¿qué estás haciendo with all these lights?
Right. Well, you keep on doing the Lord's work, helping kids all across the world. Thank you for everything that you do. So right now it's time for a Chinchilagua moment. Sheldon saying, Chinchilagua? How do you eat that? Don Parker's like, Chinchilagua? ¿Qué es eso? What is that? Do you eat that with chimichangas? No. Chinchilagua is a Mexican game that we play on holidays. And what we do is we all, Yaritza, you know what I'm talking about, Yaritza. Hopefully, you all line up against the wall, and then you yell, Chinchilagua y arriba, boy. And then you run and you jump on top of your uncle. Then you run, you jump on top of your grandma. Then you run, you jump on top of your older sister. And it becomes a human pyramid until everyone falls. And then your little cousin breaks his head open. Mom comes out with a belt, with a coat hanger, starts hitting everybody. It's a fun game. It's all fun and games until someone gets hurt. Well, my thought today is this. You know what, Moreno, like I was telling you, I just came back from first ever, double nickels of age, first cruise. And went from Galveston. I passed H-Town. Oh, you're traffic there, horrendous. But I digress. We went to Galveston, then we went down to Playa something, and then
Playa del
Cozumel.
Carmen.
Yes,
Cozumel?
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that whole thing. But my point's not about that. My point's not about recharge and reflect. Plenty of people will tell you that. No. You see, on board, there was this young lady, and it reminded me of Dave Burgess' Teach Like a Pirate. She was on the upper deck in the buffet. We took the boys. When you got 3 growing boys, you take them to buffets. That's all I'm going to say. And that young lady, every time before you walked in, she was probably like 4'6", 4'5" from the Philippines, and she's just dancing away, and she's just saying, "Washi, washi, 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 wash your hands," because everyone's supposed to wash their hands before they go into the buffet. But she's doing it con ganas. She's doing it because she has the spirit in her. She's doing it out of a projection of fun. Just like Dave Burgess says, you cannot engage your kids if you're not having fun in what you're doing. And so you know how miserable this job could be, especially if something's happening. And for her whole shift, Moreno, for her whole shift, she's dancing to different songs and she's inserting washi washi to it. She was so recognized that during the formal dinner at night at the cruise at the PM dinner, everyone recognized her. Everyone gave her standing ovation. Everyone by the last night, because they honored her commitment to the task. Does that make sense? And so what I say out to everybody there, if today the show is about campus culture, if you want to have a great culture, you need to make sure that you, my friend, both the assistant principal, the custodian, the cafeteria worker, the school bus driver, the receptionist, the custodian, everybody, that they do their job with passion. They do their job with a wholehearted effort, just like Dave Burgess says in Teach Like a Pirate, and have fun with it. Because remember, we applied for that. We applied for that gig, whatever it was, so we can't be miserable and project that onto others. You know, and Moreno, part of that also, all the cooks during every dinner, they will come out and they will do line dances. The cooks, all the waiters, everybody would stop what they're doing. And you know what? It was 99% of them with big smiles doing the dance. I know they didn't want to do it. I know they didn't want to do it, but you know what? They didn't come across like they didn't. They had fun, and you know what that did? That made us, as the people there, they made us feel comfortable as their guests, as you will have your kids feel comfortable in your class, and they want to learn about mitosis and meiosis. They want to learn about slope. They want to learn about the progresses. They want to know about run-on sentences, because if you make the class fun and you're teaching them with joy, then the kids will let you have fun, and they will have fun, and they will be interacting and engaged. What are your thoughts there, Moreno?
You know, that's a mouthful, Josh. My goodness. But you know what? You're absolutely right. You know, you have to be around people that reek what you love to do, you know, and that's exactly a great example. And I'm so glad you shared that, because you know what? People really don't acknowledge the fact that, you know, someone is doing something as small as washi washi. I mean, when you're saying that story, I was thinking about the shark dance. What's that song?
Baby shark, baby shark. Yes.
I was thinking about that when you were saying that, and I was like, oh my God. But you're absolutely right. And you know what? This PD is going to help you set that tone. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that today. And that's a perfect segue to talk about school culture, because it starts from the top. It starts from the top and it trickles all the way down. And you got to reach the custodial staff. You got to reach the secretaries. You got to reach everybody, because everybody has to drink the same Kool-Aid. Like, we have to all be on the same messaging. Because at the last minute, what happens then is people start bad mouthing the school and doing all this other stuff. And you know what? That's where you got to cut that off, man. You got to take that away from you, because yeah, that's a disease that'll cause other issues and other problems. So Super excited to kind of have that intro, Josh, because it's a great segment for today's topic.
Exactly. And I was thinking about it, this is great for the podcast today. Remember, it starts with the chair, whatever the chair is, because this is something that comes from the cruise line ownership.
Yeah.
Because that's their vision. It goes
Yeah.
back down to someone that tells people to wash their hands. That is leadership. That is vision. And it ties in great to our segue today. And if you want to learn a little bit more, if you have good, awesome culture, go back to episode 68 and 70, the two shows where I look back, where we ask former mayors, former chief of police, former alumni what their were reactions when they were in school and the people that inspired them. Those are two great shows. By talking about great shows, another stellar show today with our guests coming in from the East Coast, a lot of heavy artists right here. Let me bring him on board with my fat fingers after so many buffets. I'm not as cut and as built as Dr. Don Parker, but that guy's the man right there. Welcome, panel, to the stellar School Culture Show, episode 76. Thank you for being here, Dr. Moreno Stick.
Guys, I absolutely love this topic because it is such an important topic that people always tend to talk about. As far as, I don't know what's wrong with the school. I don't know what's wrong with these kids. I don't know what's wrong with anything. And you know what? It stems from culture. I mean, it stems from, and people don't see that. So, you know what? I am just super excited about this podcast and about our panelists, because you guys are all rock stars. And before we get started, because there's a lot of people who probably don't even know who you are or what you do or what your background is and what's your street cred, right? So we want to make sure we lay that foundation so that everybody knows exactly who we are, what we do, and why can we talk about culture, because I know what I'm talking about, right? So Don, we're going to start off with you, Dr. Parker. Give the audience a brief background on the different roles you served while in education, and what is your current role today, sir?
All right. Thanks for asking. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Don Parker, and I started off my career as a high school physical education teacher and basketball coach. From there, I went on to become a dean of students at a high school. From there, I became assistant principal for culture and climate. Then I became assistant principal for instructional leadership. Then I became assistant principal for activities and athletics. And then finally, I became principal of a K-8 school, and I've been principal at 2 schools. And currently, I am a transformational educational speaker and education consultant.
Super excited, man. I was just trying to take notes there, sir, because talk about street cred, sir. You've been in some amazing roles. And so I know you're going to drop some nuggets today for us, all of us, sir. So thank you for sharing. Dr. Venezuela, come on, sir. Tell me your background and your different roles.
Hey, everyone. I've been in education, I think 22 years now, either 22 or 23.
Did you stop counting already?
I stopped counting. Yeah, I stopped counting a while ago. I started out as a computer science and as a STEM teacher. I later became a district supervisor at Richmond City Public Schools. And I was responsible for STEM computer science for the trades, which is part of CTE, and also career pathways. I was part of the team at Richmond City that got all 50 schools fully accredited, and we did action research. We visited each of the classrooms every 9 weeks, partnered with all the school principals. And so that's a process that I've been able to bring into my own coaching work, lifelong learning defined. I'm a coach, speaker, author, but I also still teach STEM and computer science at Old Dominion University. So
awesome. Tell me again where you're actually resident, or where do you reside in?
I'm in Virginia. Well, I'm from New York City. I'm from Queens. Big shout out to Queens and Long Island. And now I am in Virginia, Richmond.
Dr. Parker, where are you calling in? Just so our audience knows, in case they want to reach out to you later on, they know kind of what geographic area. Sometimes that also helps.
Absolutely. I'm calling in from Chicago, Chi-Town.
From Chi-Town. All right. Awesome. I'm going to go down right here, right below. Dr. Eakins.
Oh, well. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm Dr. Sheldon Eakins. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I think it's interesting, Dr. Moreno. I didn't know you're from Houston because that's where I'm originally from. So shout out to A-Leaf, Southwest Side. Got me excited. I started off as a history teacher, taught in the Virgin Islands, was kind of what my introduction to education and culturally responsive teaching, just teaching out there, then transitioned into school leadership. So I had an opportunity to run a couple schools and then moved into special ed, working on a Native American reservation in Idaho, and then also did some work in higher education as well. But that's what I was kind of like my background. I'm also an author and a speaker as well. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoy the work that I do. I'm also a podcaster. So if you're interested in podcasts, Leading Equity is the name of my show. And I'm an author as well. So I have a couple books coming out this month, and one coming out this month and one coming out next month. And then I have my current book right now, which is Leading Equity, Becoming an Advocate for All Students. So it's a little bit about me.
We're gonna do another shout out in another segment to showcase all of our books, because all of you guys all have your own books. So we're gonna make sure that we do that shortly down the road here. So thank you for sharing. Yaritza, where are you calling in from, ma'am? And your brief background and your current role.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yaritza Villalba, currently in Long Island, but I'm a Brooklyn girl. By ways of Panama, because I was born in Panama, but raised in Brooklyn. I have been in education for 16 years. I started teaching actually at my alma mater, Boys and Girls High School. I started teaching 21-year-olds when I was 21. Then I became a peer collaborative teacher at a school for overage undercredited students, where I went in, I did intervisitations, I supported teachers for 6 years, and we implemented the Japanese lesson study. Then I became an assistant principal of an expeditionary learning school in Brooklyn and Flatbush, East Flatbush, where we did UDL, project-based learning, and how to realistically approach students with disabilities and families. Then I had my own show with Microsoft, which was called Ask Yaritza, Culturally Responsive Teaching, where teachers from around the world would ask me questions. And every Monday, I would answer those questions, being transparent and saying, this is how you can go to your supervisor to discuss things about anti-racism and culturally responsive teaching. After that, I became a full-time consultant for Microsoft, where I was the creator of their global exchanges. It was my responsibility to create activities and experiences for students across 6 continents. Then I began to work for myself, but also work for companies like Samsung Education. Now I'm the CEO and founder of McKinsey's Adventures. We are a global education consulting company working with teachers in schools across 6 continents. So I do, but I know when you said that you travel, I'm like, me too. I literally just came back from New Zealand as well. And now I coach a lot of teachers in New Zealand on AI and culturally responsive teaching. But I still have my feet in the classroom. I teach at CUNY, downtown Brooklyn, computer applications to medical assistants.
Wow. Oh my goodness. If I could just be a fly on the wall, that would be so amazing, because your resume is amazing. So thank you. We're so glad to have you. So looking forward to all of your nuggets you're going to be throwing as well. So thank you. And last but not least, my friend, Miss Sofia Gonzalez.
All right. Hi, everybody. Buenas tardes. My name is Sofia Gonzalez. I'm known on the street as Mrs. G. I definitely earned that gangster status. Chicago born, now just outside. So Chi-Town is definitely in the house tonight.
Yeah.
That's right. A proud Latina, proud Mexican, half Boricua, half Chicana, half tortilla, half tostone. You're welcome.
Oh, goodness. You're from Chi-Town, Chi-Town, or outside of Chi-Town?
I'm just outside of Chi-Town.
Okay. 18th Street.
Yeah, so
18th Street right here.
Okay, sounds about Pilsen.
Yep, that's me.
Yep, I already know. And so I'm in my 17th year in the high school classroom, and the students that I serve are mostly first generation from Mexico, and I teach in the neighborhood that I live. So the work is very personal to me as a daughter of immigrants. And it's something that I really center my teaching on. But I am a speaker and a spoken word artist and a writer. I'm actually writing my first book called Liberate the Lesson, a teacher's journey from trauma to transformation. So I've been on this like healing crusade to heal as many culturally responsive, freedom fighter, disruptor type advocate that I can, and let them know that I see them, that I'm with them, and that, man, together is the only way forward. I am a bit of a fellowship junkie, so I do spend my time in a lot of fellowship spaces. I'm a Fulbright Scholar, Teachers for Global Classrooms, Team India 2023 I just got back from Argentina with World Learning and the U.S. Department of State as a youth ambassador mentor, 100% en español, casi por un
Hi.
mes, by the way, 100% in Spanish, okay, in that program, which was an incredible, incredible journey and adventure. Currently, right now, I'm with an organization called Advance Illinois. I'm trying to really get into spaces and places that really impact policy because I realize that I've come to a place and space in my life where I don't say to myself, man, if I'm not invited to the table, just bring a folding chair. I've come to the realization that I am the table. And so, with that being said, I'm going to tell the lived experiences of the communities that I serve. So, I'm really big on storytelling at the intersection of social change. And I'm currently now with EdSurge as well. I'm doing some essay writing for them. I just dropped my 3rd essay, and I'm writing a 4th essay on the school shooting epidemic that we're facing in our country, as well as gun violence. And so it's really about storytelling for me. It's really about healing. It's really about liberating, and it's really about closing those gaps, championing for those who are on the margins, smashing linguistic oppression, and really amplifying the needs of the Latino community. Specifically, I feel that I really need to continue to pave the way. So I'm just excited to be in this space. I really just love to talk all things education, all things liberation, and really getting into incredible conversations with those who know their calling and know their
Yeah,
North Star
absolutely.
and are here.
Thank
So
you so much, Josh. I mean, gosh, Josh, I don't even know what to say. You got this panel is on fire. Is on fire. I mean, if we thought the school culture from the first episode, this is on fire. This is on another level. So kudos to you, sir. I'm super excited to talk to all of our panelists today.
Well, this was a united idea, especially by George Valenzuela. We're talking about a show from a show. So you know what? I cannot take credit for everything. You got to give flowers to people that bring the ideas to you. So let's have a foundational answer here. So as we talk about school culture, not everyone has to respond, like I said before the show, because this is a basic question. Y ahorita te lo voy a dar a ti, okay? And then from there, we'll go around to see if you need to add anything. So let's have a baseline definition of culture and climate. Because people use that interchange, and it's not. They're different things. You cannot, one creates the other. Well, I'm not even going to say my opinion. So, Yaritza, what is your definition? Then we'll go to you, Sheldon, okay? So, Yaritza, what is your definition of culture and climate?
Now, what if I use one word to define both? So I'm strong on relationships. I've learned throughout all of these years that it doesn't matter how good your mission or vision looks on paper. If you don't have relationships with your teachers, with your custodial staff, with your students, and with your family, that mission and that vision means nothing. When my principal came to me and she said that she opened up her own school and she wanted me to come aboard, I said, who's the population that you're targeting? And when she said underserved populations, and I knew she was headstrong about it, I even brought some teachers in, right? But it's hard work working with certain populations. That means you also have to meet them halfway for some students and all the way for most students who are overage and undercredited. And so without the relationships, that's what held our school together. That's what, when my students were frustrated and they wanted to throw chairs, the relationships is what prevented them from throwing the chairs. The relationships was what prevented us from having to scan students into the building because people are afraid of gun control in Brooklyn. Relationships are what has us having students who read on a 4th grade reading level literally passing state exams with 98s and 99s because we believed in them, and so they were able to believe in themselves. Okay. So I define both with one word. I'm headstrong relationships.
That's fine. And let me just expand this part of it right now. The focus of the 75 shows going on 76 with this one, every Sunday, live, all in a row, has been to provide that those new team members, whether it be a custodian, a bus, we've had everybody from superintendent to bus drivers, cafeteria workers here. This is not a niche show. This is like everybody's part of this community because that's what a school is. It's everybody. And so the focus has always been to help out the newbies. Does that make sense? I'm an old fart. I got 33 in the system. I got 33 years in, all right? So, but then there's my group is leaving now. My age group they're departing already. They're already retiring. So it's to lay that foundation for a new assistant principal, a new principal, and especially all these alternate certification teachers. We have tons of them because there's a vacuum out there in education. So if you guys like to add more to that, Sheldon, before I get to you, big shout out to Todd McKeever Jeter, the #1 cheerleader for the Fantastic Four, Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thank you for being here. Constance Sherrard from Mississippi, past guest, part of the Fantastic Four family. We love you being here. We always love you being part of this awesome network. Sheldon, what would you like to add about climate and culture? Yes, relationships, of course, but anything else there to assist that novice principal that just turned 32 or maybe 29 and he's got an F campus? Yes or no? Yes or no? You give the rookies the F campus. So what would you like to add, Sheldon?
I feel like the culture is the vibe that I get. If I'm a person that has not entered into the space before, well, let me start with climate. Let me rephrase that. That's climate. So if I'm a visitor, I walk into your class, your school, walk into the hall. What is the vibe immediately? The feeling that I get when I walk into that space. Now, I'm not a big believer of energy and all that stuff, but there is a sense that you get when it comes to walking into a space. You just, that read the room, if you will. That's, to me, that's the climate. And that's the feeling that if I'm someone that's brand new, I'm not there every day. I'm not a student. I'm not a staff member. But if I'm just visiting, if I go to a school, what is that feeling that I'm immediately getting? The culture side of things is the values and beliefs that the school staff, everyone is on board. That's what is the culture. This is these are the norms that we have, these, whether spoken or unspoken. But these are if I'm a student, if I'm a staff member, I know exactly what the school believes. I know exactly where we're at. That's the culture. I know what to expect when I come to school. So those to me are the differences between a culture and the climate of a school.
Good. Yeah. Sophia, what do you want to add to that?
I mean, when it comes to culture, I'm biased, obviously, as a classroom teacher, but teachers are in a really unique place to lead culture and to create culture. And, it starts in the classroom, but it definitely trickles out. And I think that for anyone who's in a school space, know that they have the ability to not just create culture, but to sustain a healthy one. And
She froze.
All right, we'll give her a stick right now when she comes back. George.
So to me, our culture are the behaviors that we can observe in the school. For example, we have a culture of active participation, a culture that is respectful, values responsibility, is culturally responsive, has empathy. And then when we're talking about our climate, is how it feels. It could be warm, it could be cold, it could be toxic, it can be empowering, lively, supportive, positive, inclusive. It all depends on how we lead. And so I really do believe that it starts from the top down, of course, but it's everyone's responsibility. And so the top, those that are in charge of instruction, in charge of the building, in charge of the culture and of the climate, then their values and their mission and their vision and their culture and climate that they want to see and feel in the building, then it's their job to pass it on to teachers and also to students. And then the teachers and the students also participate as well.
Got it. Round it off there, Don.
All right. So my experience when it comes to school culture, I remember when district office would come through the building and do walkthroughs, and they were trying to get a feel for school culture. And so school culture is the norms, beliefs, and values of the school. We also have something that we call a hidden culture. And so the culture, what kind of posters do we have on our walls? What kind of messages are we giving the students? Like, what do we say about our school? When it comes to our school logo and our school tagline, like, what do we say about our school? What is our school culture? How do we do things? Basically, how do everyone behave inside the walls of this school once they enter the school? And so culture is your norms, beliefs, and values about the school. And so then when we look at climate, when the administrators would come in, they just like looking at the environment to see, how does it make you feel when you're in our building? And same thing, when we did walkthroughs, when we go to teachers' classrooms, we drop in, what is your classroom climate like? How does it feel when you're in a classroom? How do the students feel when they're in your presence? How do the students feel about learning? How do they feel about how they're being treated? How do they feel about their cultures being represented? And they have a growth mindset. Like, how do they feel when they're inside your school? And so culture has everything to do about the beliefs and values, and climate has everything to do about how the atmosphere makes you feel when you're in there.
Got it. I mean, there was different angles, all said the same thing, and that's exactly what it is. Because you're going to see something different walking in an A-rated campus with distinctions as compared to an F-rated campus with in needs of improvement. Those two things right there. Before I hand it over to Dr. Moreno, Otis Kitchens from Florida, thank you for being here, my man. Yesterday, part of Principal Roundtable number 6. Great panel of superstars last week. Thank you, Otis, for being here, part of the Fantastic Four family. Stick, Moreno.
Oh my goodness, you guys, thank you so much for the definition and for kind of bringing that foundation to everybody, because it's important to kind of lay that foundation before we start kind of building on top of that, which brings me to our next question. And I'm going to have Sophia. Sophia's not here yet. So as soon as Sophia comes back, we'll get her back on track again. So let's go back with Dr. Valenzuela. We'll start with you. Okay, sir?
Sure.
So in your experience, we talked about culture, we talked about climate. So in your experience, what's the biggest challenge to create a positive culture then? I mean, if you're talking about, how you feel and values, why is it so hard for people to actually build upon that or make it a positive place to work?
So I've been to 32 states, over 100 cities. I've been doing professional development in schools since 2014. And here's what I believe, and this is just my observation, it's my own data. I believe that the teachers love their students. I believe that they sympathize with them when something bad happens, but I don't think that they always empathize. The empathy is missing. And because the empathy is missing, then the expectations are lowered for certain students. And that's a big problem. The key to any type of rapport, any type of relationship, is you have to believe that they can achieve. You have to have high expectations, but that has to also be coupled with positive words and interactions. When we have low expectations, and you can see the way someone interacts with someone, they don't make eye contact, they're not warm, they're not kind, they're not considerate. And so one of the things I like to do, and we actually did this with Josh's staff, is we did the empathy map. How do you become culturally responsive? How do you do that? Well, you have to know students as people and also learners. That's what Hattie says. And how do you know them as people? It's always their interests, their goals, and what they're good at, or their assets. So that's knowing them as a person. You have to take time with that. So if we're not really connecting with one of our students, for whatever reason, we're not empathizing, we're not seeing what their potential is, then we have to find out who they are in tandem with them as a learner. And it all depends on what you teach. It could be academics, it could be career skills, it could be life skills like emotional intelligence, but it's those two dimensions, that's the whole child. And that's what I believe.
Those are facts. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Dr. Parker, what
Right,
else
so
can you add to that? Because, I mean, again, that's just a big challenge for a lot of people, right? Is trying to change culture. And you hear people say it all the time, but where do you begin, and what do you think is a big challenge for all of this?
No doubt. First of all, I got to give a shout out to my boy, Dr. JB. That was a great answer. I definitely respect his scholarship and his experience, being in so many schools, doing the important work that he's doing around PBL and all the instructional leadership that he's providing. So shout out, Dr. Valenzuela. Appreciate that.
That was deep.
So as a school principal, the way I look at it is this: is two things when it comes down to school culture. Number one is vision. What is the vision of the leader, and has the staff and school community, students, teachers, everybody, have they really brought into the vision? And so the school leader has to be intentional about setting that school culture, because as John Maxwell says, if people have to buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. So that leader first has to show and prove and provide evidence that he is standing 10 toes down on his school culture and what he's trying to do. And as a school leader, when you see something that is not going in line with your school culture, you have to address it. And number two, when it comes to school culture, it has to be monitored and celebrated when it happens. And so let me tell you the difference. One of the professors, when I was earning my superintendent certificate, he said, culture eats structure for breakfast. I'm sure you guys have heard this. Culture eats structure for breakfast. And so I explained this when I presented at the National Secondary Principals Conference. That was in, when was it? It was in Seattle not long ago during my breakout session. And what I basically told them, I was talking about creating a culture of relationships and how culture eats structure for breakfast. And so we've been giving Chicago a lot of props. I'm just going to use a Chicago example like I did at the conference. So the reason culture eats structure for breakfast is the structure in Chicago, like everywhere where else is, when you come to a stop sign, you're supposed to stop. But the culture is people slow down a little bit and then they just keep going. Same thing when you're driving down the street and you see a yellow light, the structure, what the rules say is that you're supposed to slow down. But most people speed up. And even a few cars go through the red light when you're supposed to stop at the red light. That's the culture of driving in Chicago. Okay. So structure is what you say you're going to do. It's what we say we're going to build relationships in schools. We're going to be equitable to all our students. We're going to make all of our students' parents have a feeling of ownership when they come into the school and match with the community. But the culture, do you actually do it? Are you actually doing it? Mm-hmm. So the culture is the way you behave. And so as the leader, when you see that people are behaving against your culture, you have to
call it out.
You have to call it out. Yeah, you have to address it. You have to check it and you have to say, you know what? That's not the way we do things here. Okay. And I need you to buy into the culture of what it is that we are trying to accomplish.
I love it. I love it. From a principal, that's a good answer, because that's exactly what principals need to be thinking about. So if you're a principal out there, that is a really, really good analogy. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. So last thing, the structure is what you say you're going to do. The culture is what you actually do and how people behave.
Excellent. Excellent point. Dr. Akins.
I love this question because it reminds me of a lot of the research I was doing for social learning theory, Albert Bandura's work. Our kids and us as adults, we tend to learn from other behaviors. So if we start with our school leadership, the way that we are treating our students, the way that we are treating students that are different, the way that we are treating students that don't fit within the quote unquote boxes or norms of what we deem as what students should do or should not do in school. How are students being treated from top down? I love Sophia when she first started answering the first question, when she was talking about the teachers and how it starts in the classroom. The same thing applies for our teachers as well, and just our staff in general. How are students being treated? If a student comes in that is dressed a certain way that isn't typical for some of the other students, or if they're eating food that may not be as familiar with others, and students are making fun, like, what does that smell? What are you doing? What is that? Why are you dressing that way? Mm-hmm. How are staff members addressing these situations? Are we putting our heads down and pretending like we didn't hear it or just kind of keep it moving? Or is this an opportunity for us to say, hey, student, hey, Johnny, hey, Mary, that is an interesting smell. I'm curious to tell us a little bit more about what you have there. Those kind of things, the way we engage is foundational to what Bandura's work is about when it comes to social learning theory. At the end of the day, we want our students to feel as if they belong. And so if we are leading change, I love how Josh started off. If you're an F school, right? And if you're an F school versus if you're an A school, F school, obviously there's room for growth, right? So if I'm coming in as a brand new principal and I'm trying to make things change, I cannot wait and say, oh, I need to have buy-in from the entire staff in order to make these changes. I, like Don said, Dr. Parker said, I need to have a vision that is clear, and I need to start with those who are already on board and let that build. But again, it starts with our actions, and it starts with the way that we are treating our students, the way that we're treating their families as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Let me repeat the question for my friend Sophia, so I can kind of get you back on board, my friend. So the question is, in your experience, what is the biggest challenge in creating a positive school culture?
Yeah, sorry about that. Got bumped out, but we back in the studio. So
Awesome.
the idea that I had was, just as educators, it's really important for us to know our power and to know that we have the ability and the capacity to create culture, right? In and out of the classroom. And not only that, but I think we need to think long term, because we really think about how do we create culture, right? But the real question then turns into, how do we sustain it? And I think that if we're able to not just create a healthy, a safe culture of belonging, community, safety, how are we going to sustain that? And I think, like what Dr. Sheldon was mentioning, this idea of consistency. You know, I have my students come all the time talking to me like, man, like security was rough with me because I didn't have my ID and this, that, and the other. And so, you know, it's really hard for me to reconcile, right, all of the different dynamics by which our students engage the staff throughout the building. And so then I have to kind of come around and say, hey, they just want to keep the streets safe out there. We need IDs on. But the point that I'm trying to make is we all have to be consistent. Like we all have to understand that they're not going to want to come into a building where they don't feel liked, where they feel over policed, where they're not seen, where they're not given second chances. Because we all need that. We all need to feel safe. We need second chances as adults. Imagine the young people that we're trying to lead. And so those are some thoughts that really come to my mind when you talk about culture.
I love that. And those are all facts. You're absolutely right. And you're speaking from a true teacher, because you know what? That's a teacher kind of fighting for her kids. And I love that consistency. We need to be consistent, especially with our kids. Awesome. And last but not least, Yaritza, what do you see, my friend, as far as challenges in creating a school culture?
I'll say folks are not willing to be vulnerable. Vulnerability for me is being able to reflect on my biases, not really, being concerned with the power dynamics that exist in schools, where leadership believes that because they're not in the classroom anymore, they are setting the rules. And me as a teacher, I'm going to be afraid or unwilling to follow you as a leader, because you're basically saying, hey, I'm in charge, and you need to do whatever it is that I'm saying you need to do for the betterment of these students, as opposed to saying, hey, Jadiksa, what's going on in the classroom? How can I best support you to make sure that your students are reading at or above level? And also just systemic inequities. We know they exist. And just like George mentioned with empathy, you have some teachers who don't really understand the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? They go into schools with this savior complex, and that makes it difficult for students to want to build relationships with teachers who are saying, hey, I know what you're going through. And so, you can take a nap during class, and when you wake up in 20 minutes, we'll be right here to support you, as opposed to the teachers who are saying, hey, I know that you're tired, but we got to get through this. And however I can support you after, we can definitely do it. The second is just, there's so much happening and things are being prioritized, right? Many schools, especially those F schools, have to prioritize academic performance, compliance, operational demands. And so there's no real time sometimes for those F schools for culture, right? There's no real time for or built in the schedule where teachers can sit down and actually reflect on what's happening, what's actually working. Because every single time we are free, we have to worry about what the data is saying about our students failing the math state regents exam, right? So we're constantly competing for school culture. We're constantly competing for administrators. And I'm speaking from the point of view of a teacher to just say, hey, what is needed so that you can best be yourself and so that your students can feel and be their best selves, right? Because once again, Sophia said it, George said it, everyone here said it, it's from the top down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely fact. So I want to make sure I remind everybody, you have to like and share this podcast. If you haven't already done it, do it now, because all of these amazing folks all gave some really, really good examples, some facts, and some really great ways of kind of looking at how we can change our culture. We kind of gave you already some challenges and what to look for. So we got to make sure that we like and share it so that other people, it changes the algorithm when you start doing those things. So please, please, please like and share the podcast so that we can, and we're not even done with the questions yet, Josh.
I know, right? It's great stuff going on right now. So big shout out to Arcella Austri, future guest, part of the Fantastic Four family. Thank you for being here. North Carolina, I believe, right there. We're all over. We're literally all over this PGP podcast. So, folks, you've been around. I mean, New Zealand, all over. We have people from coast to coast here. So, what do you feel is the current state of learning for our students? You know, we see social media, some states cracking down on cell phones. We see the items on the news. This is not a political show at all, but you know what? That does creep into the reality of our students, the reality, because you just don't leave crap at the door, all right? Social media, the news, the budgets or their lack of budgets, that's universal. I mean, I haven't heard a state that is in the surplus for education or that's paying their team members adequately. So we have all of this because you know what? The way the adults feel trickle down to the way the kids are, the way the kids see on this is the way that that's their reality. So we'll start off with you, Sophia. What do you feel right now is the current state of education with all this high stakes testing, everything that I just mentioned right now? And we don't need to go into like a big dissertation. This question alone can take 5 hours. This question alone can take 5 hours. But just what are your thoughts of what you've observed? And then the next question that Dr. Moreno will have is ways to find solutions to this. Make sense? So we'll scaffold on each other. So Sophia, what do you see right now of the current state of our learning for our kids?
I mean, it definitely depends on the context, but I think we're all sharing like unanimous struggles. But I'm urban suburban Title I. And so from an urban educator's lens, like state testing and meeting state standards, and that is really, I mean, maybe my principal will hear this and maybe he won't, but you know what? He knows who he hired. He knows who he put in the classroom. So he's not going to be surprised. We're not even concerned about that right now. We are concerned about having family meetings. We are concerned about really deconstructing, dismantling, and disrupting Eurocentric curriculum. We are like helping our students unlearn. We are ripping off labels. We are holding space. I mean, at least that's what I'm doing. And I know that I'm not by myself. And so, especially with what's going on right now, like with the dangerous immigration narrative and crisis that we have, teaching has turned political. Teaching has turned political, and just even being a teacher right now can be a version of resistance. And I'm not taking my role lightly. I'm in there with dreamers, with DACA recipients, with first generation. Like, I'm not playing any games. I'm not withholding anything. I am disrupting and dismantling everything. I am being unapologetic. I am amplifying their lived experiences. I am thinking of new and cutting edge and innovative ways for them to engage their learning process. I'm amplifying their voices. I'm talking student agency. I'm talking you can be the change that you are looking for. I'm talking raise your hand if you speak speak Spanish. That is an asset. That is not a deficit. Like, I am just really working really hard right now. I'm holding space. A lot of my students are in fear that their families are going to get deported, that some of their family members have already been sent back to their country. And so with that being said, what kind of learning can really take place when psychologically there is so much harm taking place? And then on top of that, we've got the budget cuts, right? Where the U.S. Department of Education has been gutted. The special education department has been gutted. And so where does that leave us? Right now, we have to be strategic. We have to just really just fall in alignment. And right now, I am mothering my students. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so this isn't about, obviously learning is taking place. Obviously, I'm giving assessments, I'm giving quizzes, I'm doing bell ringers. But do you want to know what? That's not my priority right now. My priority is humanizing every student that walks into my classroom. My priority is saying, do not believe the lies that are being said about our communities. Period, full stop, point blank. And I'll stop right here because I'm really passionate about it. But the energy, the environment is charged in our U.S. classrooms. And really those who are rising up and understanding their assignment, we are standing on business right now. And it is really, really intense.
No, hombre, Sofía, qué bárbara.
I'm gonna go to her class.
Hombre, qué bárbara. All right, next question. I mean, that's it. Everything was there right there. No, but thank you very much. Agreed. That's exactly the campus that I'm at. Kids from all over the world brand new to the country. I understand what you're saying, and we still got to provide that perfect environment for them. In the end, we are mama and papa there. Make sure we make them feel comfortable. Try to avoid the leakage of society into their brains and their learning abilities. George, what are your thoughts, brother?
What I'm seeing in schools, and this is like, traveling,
Yes.
whether West Coast, East Coast, Southwest, Midwest, what I'm seeing is that there's a lack of relationships, not just between young people and adults, even between the adults. So how do we get to what Sophia said? Mothering, parenting, fathering. One of my mentors said to me when I started at the university teaching, he was like, yo, you can't just be a teacher. You have to be the caseworker, the father, older brother. You have to be a lot of things because you got so many different types of learners. You got older ones that haven't even been to school in a minute. And then you got ones who are 17, right? Some who are here on scholarship because they play sports. So you have to wear all these different hats. So how do we get there? How do we get to all of that? Well, it always starts with empathy, not sympathy. Sympathy, there's a place for that, but that doesn't help people. It doesn't really form relationship. It means you feel sorry for someone or their circumstance. Is empathizing, putting ourselves in their condition. I was at a wedding last week in New York. Big shout out to New York and to my friend Davina. Her and her wife got married. And I met this gentleman at the table. He was like, yo, G, I have a lot of teacher friends and they hate their job right now. Yo, like the parents don't even know how to parent the kids. And so my thing is this, I've heard that before, but if you're passionate about teaching, then you should be passionate about children. And we have to, as leaders, build up the confidence of our teachers in three things. In our profession. Number two, in the confidence to teach who's in front of them. And lastly, in us as leaders, otherwise they won't follow us. They won't even listen to us. So it's a lot of things, but how do we get to that point of what Sophia is saying, where we see the responsibility? Because the thing in our country is they didn't really put any guardrails on social media. Now they have in the UK and they have in China. So what happens is what we're seeing, and you can look at CDC data, we have a lot more mental health issues.
Mhm.
because kids are being exposed to a lot of different things all at one time. So when they get to school, if they don't see the value of school, if they don't feel that love from the adults, then why do they want to be there? And so it takes a lot of that mothering, of that fathering. You know, sometimes we can't teach students all these standards and all these things, but we can love them today.
Thank you. Exactly. Sheldon, thoughts?
I love both of the answers, and so I agree with everything that has been said so far. I want to take it a different direction, just to bring some things that I've witnessed, or some things I'm noticing. Because again, everything that's been said, I totally agree with, especially in our classrooms. What I'm noticing is a lot of teacher shortages, and not only just the teacher shortages, but when we do get new teachers, some of them are coming in with change of careers or some sort of alternative certification. They miss that teacher school, right? Where they go to the college, traditional student teaching, boom, boom, boom. Like they're student teaching right then. And so as a result, they're not necessarily given the tools to be culture responsive. And again, unintentional. We're just saying the best intentions. In a lot of cases, they just don't have that foundation. They don't have necessarily the knowledge or understanding of how I can provide someone else's culture, their background into the classroom, into that space. Oh, I teach math, so I'm not sure how to do that. Oh, I teach science, I don't know how to do that. And so they're brand new. They're hungry. They want to do good as teachers, but they don't have the foundation or the structure or the information that they need to be successful. As a result, we're seeing a lot of those teachers that, again, we already have a shortage. We get some brand new teachers. They're not given the structure. They're not given the support they need, and then they leave. So then we're back to square one again. So I think the question, Josh, was also what are some things that we could do about this?
We'll get that one.
Okay. All right. So I'll just leave it basically there. It's just our brand new teachers that are coming in are not always, again, a lot of them are coming in on alternative route. They're not necessarily giving the training that they need in order to be successful to support our students, because again, a lot of emphasis is placed on testing standards and not necessarily on the human side.
That's so true. I agree. And it just like the previous question, it's alpha and omega, A to Z, the chair. The main chair on the campus needs to make sure if you hired them, you take care of them and you bring them into what your vision is, what is your culture. If you lose them, that's on you. So if you believed and you submitted their name to get hired to HR, hey, baby, that's your credibility because you said yes to that individual. Mm-hmm. You can't go back 3 weeks later. That's on you. You said yes, so now you got to cultivate that team member. Yeah. Don, what are your thoughts, brother?
Hey, all right. I don't know if y'all heard this or not, but the state of education is 6'7". 6'7". 6'7". To put that in context for you, I run a youth resilience program at the local middle school. And we finish our program, we come to the hallways, and that's all you hear the kids saying. Teachers are getting interrupted with their lessons for students, saying this little quote. And so the state of education right now is we have to fall back and think about why education was important to us. It's because we wanted to level up and we want the next generation to do better than the generation that came before us. And so we have to understand the power of education, that it's life-changing, it levels the playing field, and it gives students the opportunities to create better lives for themselves and their students. Like me and George talk about this all the time. Like when we're speaking at the same conference or in the same place, or when he comes to Chicago and we go out to dinner, we just talk about how grateful we were that we received such a great education so we can have options in life and do like we said, try to help the next generation. So I think educators have to just remember the power that they have. You're not just teaching students how to be successful in school, but ideally you're teaching students how to be successful in life. And we need to get back to that.
Hey, you know what, Don? Hey, before I hand it to you, George, real quick, this whole cruise with my first grader, that was the best bonding I did. With my 6-year-old, every time it was 6'7", my boy and me fell in love with 6'7". You know what? Yes, it's ridiculous, but you know what? You could use that as a great teacher, as a connection tool. You could set up your own lesson and use 6-7 and say, ready, audience? 6-7, and then boom. Instead of them getting your goat, instead of allowing them to push your button, use it as a bonding situation. Y te los ganas, compa. You win them over. Hello. George, what did you want to add?
Yeah, so Yuritsa, don't say nothing because she calls me an old man. So I'm 50 years old. I know Don is 50, and we went to school at the same time, elementary school, middle, high school. And my teachers, the experience I had, and they did not look like me. I think I never had a Hispanic teacher. I may have had 2 African-American teachers, but I remember our teachers being very caring for us and loving on us, even though we had a lot of deficiencies in those days, in the 80s. And I remember them wanting good for us, even though they were very different from us. And I just have to say that to be a good teacher, I think the first thing is you have to care.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm not so sure if the population that we live in now, and I'm not saying teaching, just in general, is a very caring population. I don't think we're taught those values anymore. And if you have, like how Josh says, it's the ganas, you want to do it. If you really care, then Lao Tzu said that when the teacher is ready, the master appears. Then I believe is God. Some people say it's the universe, but I'm going to say God will provide the resources to become a good teacher, to, help your kids in the way that they need, but that love and care, and like you have to care. And I think that is what's missing nowadays.
True. Agreed. And if they don't have that foundational, like Sheldon said, that's one of the crucial things about doing your student teaching and doing your observational hours. And right there, you're tasting whether or not you want to do that. You're tasting it, whether or not you want to put up with 6-7. You make that call, which is a fact. Yaritza, close us off with this question. ¿Qué me dices, amiga?
I was sitting here, I think my fingers started sweating because I'm so anxious to just answer. As an Afro-Latina and a former ESL student, there's a lack of family engagement, and that builds mistrust in our school systems. As a person who, when I came to this country and I started school, they forced me to be an ESL, and I was an ESL until I was in 12th grade. My mom automatically just dismissed every phone call, every letter that came home. And honestly, that's happening now with our families, especially in Black and Brown communities. Our families are feeling like every single time schools are reaching out is because of something negative, as opposed to trying to reel them in and to share what's really happening. How can parents become more engaged in their students' learning? When I have conversations with parents, it's normally like, but how could I help my student at home? If the teachers are saying they're not reading at grade level, what tools are you going to give me that you're using in the classroom that I can benefit from at home as well? So for me, it's that mistrust, that historical trauma that just keeps popping up every single year for our families.
So true. I agree. Got to get them parents involved in this and not blame that the parents don't want to be part of it. Big shout out to past guests on 2 of our shows from teachers from around the world. The Costa Ajiro from Africa. Thank you for being here. Hey, where you? Hey, Pitbull.
What time is it there?
Pitbull is not worldwide. We're worldwide right here. Let me tell you right now. Stick.
Oh my goodness, guys, we are almost halfway. So we got to make this a really quick question here. Okay. So don't make it a very long answer, but actually you guys gave us some challenges, right? What's going on with the state of education. So this is your opportunity to provide me with just one action step that campus administrators can do to sustain a positive culture. And I'm going to have Yaritza start off with, because she was sweating already and she wanted to so I'm going to go ahead and because she started off and I was like, you know what, let's just go ahead and finish your thought around, you were giving us a challenge. Now, how do we fix that?
So I can speak to what my company does. We provide family academies where we go into schools and we work directly with families, whether that's on how to leverage AI to advocate for your student. I've done some sessions where we teach parents about AI, about security, about the biases that exist, but also how to leverage AI to ask questions about Title I funding. right? So it's being specific. It's targeting what parents want to actually learn about. It's not, I went into schools before and principals would say, hey, we've given out tickets for cruises and we've given out movie tickets, but parents aren't showing up, and they aren't showing up because you're not giving them the opportunity to choose what kind of sessions and workshops they want and they need, especially at home. So I would definitely say, ask parents what they want, ask families what is it they want? Give a list, and you'll see that they'll be more engaged and willing to walk into your schools.
Facts. That is a fact. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And it's true. You ask and they're going to tell you what they need, right? If you ask them. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that. How about you, Sophia? What is one action step that campus administrators can do?
Now, is this to increase like school culture
Yes,
overall,
yes.
or for parent involvement, or just a little bit of both, like un poquito de todo?
Un poquito de todo.
One of the things that came to mind as I was looking over that question, and obviously, again, admitting my bias, right? There's no secrets here. I think what can really be to the advantage of school leadership is if you continue to notice who the teacher leaders are in the building. I think teachers are such untapped potential and currency. We're the ones that are proximate to the issues. Yes. We're the ones that are day to day. We are the ones that are on the ground. We are on the front lines. And so many of us are just so overtaken by some of the challenges that we're seeing in the classroom. And we have all this stored up energy. We have innovative ideas. We have passion. We have creativity. We have a way forward. But at the building level, sometimes we're not given those opportunities. Yeah. And I don't even have time to talk about how much more for Black and Brown educators that continue to pay the Black and Brown tax. I digress. I think that if school leaders would really tap in, who are the teacher leaders? Who are the teacher advocates? Who are the activists that are at the building level, that are moving and shaking, that are doing this in their spare time, that have positioned themselves to the world and are saying, I am an education activist, I am an advocate, I am a voice, I am a transfer of knowledge, of wisdom, of hope, I am a freedom fighter, let freedom ring. Somebody tap me in, coach. And guess what? If you don't tap me in, I'm tapping myself in, because when you have an anointing, right? When there's a calling on your life, when God himself has come down and tapped into your spirit. I don't mean to bring church up in here, but you know what? Teaching is also spiritual. When you know that you are called to do something so significant in the world of education, in the world of families, to reimagine, right? To bring justice into these spaces that have been historically void and not designed to see entire communities thrive, then the school leadership needs to activate those teachers and activate them now. Because, I'm telling you, we've got something magical and we just need somebody to tap us in.
As Melissa Jones Chuno said, preach, girl, preach. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Venezuela, what do you have?
Dr. Moreno, real quick. En Sofía, déjate digo una cosa. Hoy es domingo, hoy es el día de él. A mí no me importa. Este es mi show. Este es mi show. Today is Sunday. Today is his day. You could say whatever you need to say about him, because he has blessed all of us on this call and then some, and our families, thanks to the knowledge that he provided us in the pathway. So preach, lady. Go.
I love it. I love it. I just love the way you're just so powerful in your words. So thank you for sharing. Dr. Venezuela.
My wife had to come around and say, who's that? Who's Sophia?
I'm telling you.
What's she look like? So I agree with everything so far, but I do want to go back to what Dr. Akins was saying, Sheldon was saying about Bandura. So if you look at the literature, what meaningfully, not paycheck, meaningfully keeps people in their work is self-efficacy, is confidence that they can do this well. Bottom line. Now, if you look at the literature, if you look at Hattie's work, Visible Learning, the number one determinant for successful student outcomes, whether it's being inclusive, reading and writing, whatever, is collective teacher efficacy. which is an extension from self-efficacy.
Mm.
When the adults in the building all get on the same page, when, if you can't get them in the building, on the teaching team, on the PLC, when a group of adults get on the same page on the children, then that is the effect size is like 1.7 something. It's something like that. And if I'm wrong, I didn't memorize it. You've got to look at the literature. Is coming together, is building a cohesive team. What is cohesion? Is being on the same page. Same page about what? About food, about music? No, about the children.
Hmm.
That's why we come into teaching. A lot of people, I had a mentor when I first started out, and he said to me, he was like, look, before you write your lesson plan, before you start buying books, equipment, before you go to PD, before you do anything, always ask yourself, what do the kids in my classroom need?
Hmm.
And I've seen that changes every year. So I have to transform every year.
Mm-hmm. Facts, facts, facts. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And you know what? You're absolutely right. You can't do the same thing every single year because situations are different. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Dr. Aiken since he was talking about you.
I almost jumped the gun earlier today with my answer because I was excited because I see stuff and then I was like, okay, I had ideas. And just like what Dr. Valenzuela said, it's mentorship. I would start there and whatever that looks like. But
Mhm.
Sophia even brought it up too, is the idea of you have teachers that are veterans, you have teachers that are well-versed in their craft, that are knowledgeable. And it doesn't always have to be, oh, I got to link a math teacher with a math teacher. Yes, those are great. But some of the foundational pieces can come from the relationship and bond that can be created from the mentor and the mentee. If we place a strong emphasis on ensuring that those new teachers, whether they're coming in straight out of college or coming in as a change of career, but this is their first time in the classroom, if we provide them with a space for them to ask questions. Principals aren't always available. Assistant principals aren't always available. So if you have opportunities to say, hey, I have questions, I need help, I need support, and you link them up with that mentor, that to me is very valuable. But you also have to make sure that connection and that relationship is strong as well. So being intentional with that placement and not just say, hey, I got some new teachers, I need you to go work with them. No.
Yeah.
Be very intentional with who you're matching up, who you are supporting, and making sure that those are the goals that is a part of the vision that everyone has. And I think if we go there, kind of like what Dr. Valenzuela said, I mean, he can think back to some his times as having a mentor, and I'm sure he's paid it forward as well. I've had the opportunity of mentoring teachers myself, so these are some things that I think are very valuable. But we have to be very intentional with our efforts.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Dr. Don, just to remind everybody, because it's been a while since I said the question, again, one step campus administrators can take to either build or sustain positive school culture.
All right. I know you said one step, but I just got to give you three, but I promise I'm going to make it quick. All right.
That's why I had to repeat the question, Josh, because I knew this. I knew this was
I'm going to make it quick, but I don't want to shortchange the people on your podcast. So as a person who has been a principal for 7+ years, I'm going to tell you, number one, communication is key. And that's whether we're talking about relationships, and same thing when it comes to creating a school culture. The principal, the leader of the school has to communicate what the school culture is, what the vision for the school culture is, and you have to make it abundantly clear. Also, what my principal mentor taught me when I became a principal, she told me, down, I'm hiring as this job. She said, right now, the culture of this school is so toxic. We're not worried about student achievement right now, even though that's the goal. But she said, right now, just focus on the culture. So I had to go in there and I had to do a lot of culture work. And one thing she told me was, here's step number 2, inspect what you expect. Okay, so we have to monitor our teachers. And when we see something that's happening that's not supposed to be happening, we have to address it. So that's inspect what you expect. But number 3, what goes toe and toe with that is, yes, there's a quote that says what gets monitored gets done. However, there's another quote that says what gets monitored gets done, but what gets rewarded gets done, it gets done repeatedly. So when we see what is taking place, what we expect our school coaches to be, we have to reward our teachers. We have to reward our students. We have to reward our staff when we see them doing those things that are moving in the direction of where we want our culture to go. So when I went into that school, my culture that I wanted to shape for that school, I had a quote, and the quote was above and beyond. And so I bought my entire staff t-shirts. On the front of the t-shirt was our school logo. On the back of our t-shirts was the saying above and beyond. And what I meant by that is I wanted teachers to go above and beyond to make sure we meet our students' social and emotional learning needs and to help them reach their academic goals. And when I saw teachers going above and beyond, I rewarded them. And it shaped the school culture. Our student achievement scores went up by over 30% as a result of setting that vision, monitoring it, rewarding the teachers, staff, and students for doing what we expect. And that's my take on the three things that has to happen in order to build, sustain, and maintain a school culture.
Awesome. Thank you. And you know what? It wasn't as bad. Thank you so much. 3 things wasn't as bad. So thank you so much, Dr. Dawn Parker, for that. I don't know what to say, Josh. These are some great answers and some big, huge nuggets.
Exactly. And part of the knowledge that's being spent out is thanking people like Dr. Daniel Truelove. Thank you for being part of the show today. I've never seen your name on the roll, so thank you for being here. Mi amigo Central Hicks from Central Office here in Texas. God bless you, brother. Thank you for being here. I saw Ali Torres earlier. Thank you for being here, part of the show and the conversation and all of this awesome knowledge being dropped today. So let's talk about, first question was, what are the issues, right? Then each one of you gave a way of overcoming that, correct? So now let's finish this off. As a new principal, as a new assistant principal, you know what? Some schools have 3,000 kids, 5,000 kids, 6,000 kids. Some schools have 300 kids. It doesn't matter what. But you still need to be able to assess how you're moving the culture forward, right? So what can a brand new principal do? A new administrator, let's just say that generically, because you also have people at central office that lead the principals. So you got an area superintendent, an EDL in charge of 10 principals, plus their contingent of assistant principals, correct? How can we gauge that there's a culture shift for the positive? Because we'll see the negative for sure. We'll see the fights. We'll see the vapes. We'll see the pulling of the fire alarms. We don't need to go into that because we know that that's out there, all right? So how are we seeing, Yaritza, that there's a positive shift by implementing whatever that leader's vision is? When should we gauge it? What tells us that we're doing a good job?
I mean, the obvious is if everybody's smiling. If we're happy to come to work and I'm buying you breakfast, no, I'm kidding. It's when educators are more easy to buy into what's next. When things are positive, you've built a positive environment and what you've put in place. Say, for instance, we're assessing it after 6 months and teachers are like, yes, we're ready to move forward. Normally that's because you've already provided the support system. You've already went in. If it's discussing instruction, you went into the classroom, even when it's not punitive. You're having realistic conversations about what's working and what's not working, but your teachers are willing and open to communicate with you and to go in and say, well, George, this is not working today. Whatever we talked about 2 weeks ago, guess what? For my students, we just need to tweak it a bit. And so for me, it's about communication. Teachers are more open to talk with administrators when things are positive, when, like we said earlier, when those relationships have been built. And yeah, I'm just going to put the cherry on top. And I'm more willing to come to work smiling again, right? Because you've already established that openness for me to be able to come into your office and say, okay, Dawn, this ain't working. This ain't looking too good for my kids. So how can we tweak it so that it can best fit the students that I serve?
Love it. Dawn, when do we assess it? How do we gauge it, my man?
All right, we gauge it by looking at our performance indicators. All right, so here's what you have to do as a school leader. Okay, it's so much to do. You can't work on everything. Come up with 2 or 3 goals that you are going to be intentional about, and then you just monitor the progress on those goals, whatever those goals are. And so you monitor, hey, are my discipline referrals going down? All right, are my staff attendance and student attendance going up? and is my instruction, are my teachers teaching from bell to bell? And that could just be 3 goals. And so it's impossible to do everything because, like you said at the top of the question, Josh, there's so many things going on. So my advice to a principal is to just come up with 2 or 3 goals, and then just look at your performance indicators on each 2 or 3 of those goals to monitor if you're making a shift in that culture. And I'll be honest, I ain't number 1 principal of the year. I admit I don't know everything, but I know some things.
Love it. Thank you for sharing, and it's true. Sheldon, what are your thoughts, my man? When do we check
I
it?
was gonna say that pretty much similar. Check the data. You set your goals in the beginning of the school year, and again, you show your vision and you let your staff know these are the, like Dr. Don said, here's a couple 2 or 3 things that we're looking to focus on, and then you're monitoring that throughout the school year. That might require you to do some observations in your classrooms, formal or informal assessments, just popping in. Just to see, those goals in action. But again, that is something that you need to make sure that your staff is very clear as far as that. But not just focus on the academic side of things when it comes to those goals, but also look at some of those social, emotional type of areas as well, and see if there's ways that you can gauge and, again, monitor those. So that might be starting with a focus group in the beginning, middle, and the end of the year to see it, and checking in that way as well. So, but just definitely checking in with the data.
Beautiful. George?
Yeah, so focus groups, surveys, conversations, really important. I want to go back to what Yaritza said. People are smiling, people are happy. If teachers and students can look you in the face and tell you the truth, then you know that you are building relationships and you're doing a good job in terms of building culture. I work with a lot of leaders, whether it's superintendents, assistant superintendents, directors, principals, and even teachers sometimes I tell this to. I like to have people focus on your target audience. You can't be everything for everybody. I have to speak in front of a lot of people, right? Like sometimes hundreds, sometimes less than that. And success coach James Taylor taught me that you break your audience up into 3, right? And you're only focused on your target audience. You have to know who the others are. And these are dummy numbers. 10% understand the assignment. They're rocking with you. They love it. They're down for you. That's not your target audience. That's not. They understand the assignment, so you don't have to worry about them. Then there's 10%. They don't like you. They have made a commitment to not like you. As long as they don't disrespect you, it doesn't matter. But they don't like you, and they are committed to misunderstanding you. There's nothing you can say to these people except hi and bye. That's it. That's not your target audience. Even if Jesus was your assistant principal, they're not rocking with you. Understand this. Then there's 80%. And the 80%, that's your target audience. These are people that they love our profession. And these are dummy numbers. They love our profession. They love children. But they want to know that you care. They might be on the fence about you because they don't know you like that, or you've let them down before. But they care. And all they want to see is that you care. And when we talk about being vulnerable is exposure, is being honest. Now, if you're emotionally weak, I don't recommend that, because if you look in the dictionary, being vulnerable means that you're open to attack, physically or emotionally. Be confident. Be who you are. And vulnerability now is being honest. Hey, I need some help with this, but I'm here working with you. I'm rolling up the sleeves. We're working together. So it's a lot of those things, but it's looking at the data, knowing who your target audience is, and being real with yourself about where you are.
Platícame, amiga, in Chicago. Platícame. When do you gauge it?
I think obviously what has been said is definitely vital, right? Checking the data, really looking at things that you could measure. But I feel what could even take that to such a deeper level is measuring what really can't be seen. Things like teacher willingness, student progress, energy levels, feeling seen, um, feeling provided for, feeling protected as teachers and as students. I think it's more about the invisible realm oftentimes than it is about the visible realm of data points and benchmarks and standards and outcomes. Though all of those things have a lot to do with the world of education and really creating an effective school environment. But I argue, hear me when I say, feel my heart on this. At the end of the day, it is about relationships. It is about community. It is about really just giving back the love that we so desperately need as practitioners and students and families. That's what drives learning. That's what, like, we are the stories behind these data points. That's one of the things that I say when I travel the country. I am the data point. I am your research. I am exactly what you have probably done your dissertation on diversifying the teacher pipeline, on working in Title I schools, urban education. Like, I am probably part of your research. I could be definitely part of your focus group. I am the research. The students that we serve, they are the data point. And so I will end with this. One of the things that I'm really proud of my principal of doing is that he knows his staff. He has really taken the time to sit with us, like, to really know our life stories, to know our children's names, to know the things that we're passionate about. Like, my principal understands, like, what I'm passionate about, why I'm passionate about, and where this will eventually take me, as just an example. So for me, like, to really drive and to really reimagine the state of education as we know it, it's measuring and tapping into the invisible. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's where you're going to grab us. That's when we see students showing up. That's when we see students raising their hands. That's when we see that absent kid in the back of the row that hasn't come for a week, but you made them feel loved and seen and acknowledged and gave them a second chance and said, I don't even care about your essay. I care about you. When you say that to a teacher who's coming in batting off teacher trauma, vicarious trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, and you're saying, I see you. If you need somebody to come and sub your class, text me. You can go home for the day. I mean, these are things that you really can't measure, but make the absolute world of difference. And I think that we need to tap into that a whole lot more this year.
Love it. Eso, así me gusta. Love it. Felipe Torres, thank you for being here. Real quick panel. I'm about to promote some of the books that I always push on this podcast. So if you got a podcast or you got a book to push, you'll go right after me, starting off with George Valenzuela. Jimmy Casas' great brand new book. I suggest you reach out for it and start picking that up. If you need some help with a team member who has or needs some discipline in the classroom or your campus or the district, Kevin Curtis does a fabulous job of breaking it down for you. Superintendent Glenn Robbins from New Jersey has 2 awesome books. Right now, we're about to hit that very first stage, guys. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. October, November, this is when people go to war. So you're the leader of the chair. Make sure you read this. The Stoics and Leadership and the Dark Side of Education. Superintendent Glenn Robbins connects how famous stars, musical stars, were told they were not going to be successful, but they were. Sounds familiar in education, right? No, you will never be a principal. Sean Kane, Fundamental 5, How to Support Teachers in This New Trying Time, and 23 Stories of Educators. Yours truly wrote chapter 23, the last one. They saved the best for last. Barbara Bray, Grow Your Why, and soon I'll have another one in January. George Valenzuela.
So I had to run in the back and get my books. I wasn't even thinking about this. I have Instructional Innovation Plus. It took me 17 years to write this book, y'all. I took all the knowledge that I learned at my central office job, learning how to do action research, visit classrooms, and then develop PD based on data, and then everything I learned in the PhD program. So this is for leaders, instructional coaches, and for teacher leaders and central office everybody, okay? Whether you have a teaching team, a PLC, whatever you want to call it, it's for being on the same page. And this is PBL Plus, Yaritza. has written the forward for this. Like you can see her name right there.
Ah,
And this is for
nice.
innovative teaching using AI, looking at career pathways, STEM, all the things I used to teach and then support. It's all in this book. It all came together. Life skills,
Love it. And your podcast?
lifelong learning defined for self-improvement. I'll put a link into the chat for all of y'all.
Dr. Don Parker.
All right, here we go. So this book is entitled Building Bridges, Engaging Students at Risk Through the Power of Relationships. And that was written for teachers. So teachers can build those trusting relationships with students who have challenging behavior or students experiencing trauma. And my beautiful purple book, I don't have with me right now. I sold out at my last event, but the title of that book is Be the Driving Force, Leading Your School on the Road to Equity. And that is a book that I wrote for school leaders so that they can promote equity within their schools. And I promise you guys, my books were written before AI. So I know AI has some great information, but the books I wrote were from my heart, from my experience, and everything I wish I knew before I became a school principal that would help people in this business.
Love it. Joven Sheldon Akins. Talk to me.
All right. Podcast Leading Equity is a podcast, or you can follow me on YouTube. You can watch the videos on the art of advocacy. As far as the books go, this one here is currently out, Leading Equity, Becoming an Advocate for All Students. I have another book being, it's on pre-order right now from Solution Tree. What are you bringing to the potluck? How school leaders set the table for a community of belonging. That one's coming out in a few weeks. And then I have another book with ASCD coming out next month, Meaningful Classroom Management. So that one's for teachers, adapting your teaching to build culture and community.
Beautiful. Love it. Yaritza, platícame, ¿qué tienes?
So my audience is kids. I write culturally responsive children's books. So the first is Mackenzie's Time Machine, which takes students of color back in time, you know. The second is Mackenzie and the Secret Library of Banned Books. This was my kind of homage. I paid homage to the books that were banned across the United States. And this is like my secret way of saying, hey, this is what the book is actually about. And then the third is La Bisabuela de Mackenzie. I don't have a copy of it here with me, but it's a bilingual book, and it tells the story of my family from slavery or enslavement to Panama to America. And I have a podcast. It's called Innovate Her with Yaritza, and it highlights the voices of women of color around the world in education and in tech.
I love it.
Sweet.
Sofía, platícame, ¿tienes algo?
So everybody can follow me on my socials. I go by Sophia Speaks, sophiaspeaks.net. Right now, I'm running a podcast with Fulbright. So it's Fulbright Latinx, which is an affinity group that's really highlighting the Latinx journey across the Fulbright grant experience. It's called Estamos Juntos Podcast. So you could tune into that. We're on Spotify. And I'm also doing a lot of writing, like I said. So catch me on edsurge.com. I'm their current fellow, and I'm pounding out essays, and I'm really excited about them that are being published. And then, as I mentioned, I am definitely trying to give birth to this book over here. Called Liberate the Lesson, which is basically my manifesto to almost 20 years in education, over 20 years in justice work. So it's like a memoir / healing and liberation / best practices that I call rhythms and flows, broken down into 3 parts that I'm really excited about. The first part is called The Call, where I was called to education. The second part is called The Critique, where I begin to critique and examine the world of education. And then the third section that I'm polishing up is called The Comeback, right? So how can we come back, and how could we really take the world of education to a level that we have never seen on this planet? So excited about that. And I'm so inspired by all of you all as authors and movers and shakers. You all inspire me. I'm right behind you. I appreciate you all. And I want to read everybody's book in this space, like right now. Tell me how to get them.
Me fascina, qué bonito. Last 2 questions are real quick, guys.
Real quick. I
We gotta go
promise.
to the lightning round, and lightning round. Then we go and enjoy the rest of our Sunday. Moreno, stick, go.
Okay. You know what, Dr. Parker, just because I know you have, you're going to be number one, sir, because I'm keeping tabs here because apparently people are kind of checking. So real quick, sir, you're going to be number one since you're next. Just tell, we're all kind of in different places and different spaces and everything else. So just tell the audience just one school, one campus staff, or someone that we can follow on social media.
Okay. One, I don't have a school or campus staff, but I'm gonna tell you the person to follow on social media is my boy Ken and his book Ruthless Equity. All right, he is doing some great work, so that would be my recommendation. So follow
Awesome.
Ken on social media.
Awesome. And we're always on social media. That's why this is a great question, because it's a place where we're going to, find other people are doing great things. So Dr. Valenzuela, what about you? One campus, one school. I know you're all over the place.
I have to be honest. Josh already brought it up, so it's not a secret. I hand selected everyone on this panel, so I say just follow the entire panel. Everyone here except Sophia. Now, she got my heart on social media because she posts a lot of videos. She's on it. She's fire. Follow her. But I have a personal relationship with everyone on this panel. I've known them for years. And I will have to say, these are people that you want in your life on your podcast, when you're in the gym, when you're driving. Sheldon, he was doing this before any of us were. Any of us. Yaritza, I've seen this sister take nothing and become a global freaking company. Be freaking Google all that. She's Cardi B of this thing. You know what I'm saying? Of this thing. She is, so yeah. Or
Yaritza, I'm gonna have to go to you next. So Miss IE Cardi B, who can you suggest that we follow out in social media?
This is a principal that inspires me. He's been inspiring me since I was a teacher. I was actually going to be the assistant principal of his school. Principal Rashid Davis, he's the founding principal of P-TECH. He's the reason why we have a P-TECH model around the world.
Awesome. Thank you. Dr. Akins?
Got to give a shout out to my one of my day ones, like Dr. Valenzuela said, when I first started years ago, let's call it, I don't know, man, it's been a minute, but Dr. Josue Fowles out of New Jersey, good friend of mine, and definitely you got to follow him.
Awesome. And last but not least, Sophia, who can you suggest that we follow?
There's so many because they're my people, but just for the sake of time, I'll just throw out one. If you're really looking to understand our multilingual learners and our newcomers in the world of education on a national level, then you have to follow Dr. E.T. Dr. E.T. on the border. I've done some work with her. I know you know her.
Bestie.
Your
She's my
bestie. Okay, so mira, this is confirmation. Okay. And she has a vibe. She's a vibe all on her own. Leave her alone. Let her wear what she wants to wear. Let her say what she wants to say. She is pure Latina magic, period.
Absolutely. I took her to Africa. So all those trips that when she was talking about Africa, she was talking about me.
Oh my gosh. We need to talk. This is serendipitous. Okay.
All right. Last one is a fill in the blank. And then we're going to go into the lightning round. Last one, simple. Sofía, finish this sentence. Finish the sentence, all right? Y no son como 50 palabras. Finish the sentence, all right?
Okay.
Poquito, no mucho, por favor. A little bit, not a lot.
Okay.
Hey, educator, when I walk in your school, I can feel a positive culture by?
The way that the kids are vibing in the hallway and what the teachers are saying in the cafeteria by the coffee maker.
All right. Dr. Don Parker. Hey, educator, when I walk in your school, I can feel a positive culture by?
The way the students are behaving.
Dr. Sheldon Akins. Hey, educator, when I walk in your school, I can feel a positive culture by?
The friendly greetings I get from the kids and staff.
George Valenzuela. When I walk in your school, I can feel a positive culture by?
I'm going to delete by and put because people show that they want to be there.
And Yaritza, terminamos contigo before the lightning round. Hey, educator, when I walk in your school, I can feel a positive culture. Bye.
Classrooms filled with students being loud and disruptive, but respecting each other.
Woo! All right, all right, all right. Here we go, lightning round. PGP podcast. G is for ganas. You know que es una palabra espiritual para todos los hispanos. That's a true word that connects us all, whether you're puertorriqueño, cubano, boliviano, mexicano, todos. Una palabra, we're all connected with that one word. We're not a monolith, but let me tell you, every culture uses that one word to inspire. That's a generational word where abuelita says, échale ganas, mija. And you know what? She means it because her great-grandmother told her the same thing. It's about bonding. So I need you guys to answer these questions real quick. Look at me, panel. Real quick. Panel. Real quick, eh? No se pasen, eh? Don't go past there. It's only number 2. I've been telling you that since Wednesday. Only number 2, you could take a while, all right? So here we go. We're going to start off with you, Yaritza. Here you go. Ready? Give advice to a first-year assistant principal.
Take as much time as possible to go into classes and form relationships with students and teachers.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student who inspired you as an educator.
So this was a note from Dr. Nairi Clark, and she just said, when I think about meeting you during COVID and seeing how much you've grown in such a short amount of time, you started your own LLC, you presented the best virtual sessions, you wrote your own children's books. You have always supported me by coming into my lessons virtually to share your story and your culture. And everything that we dreamed of together has come true and so much more.
Eso! Send some flowers to an active educator who inspires you in your work.
Alfredo Silva in California, you are the best. Please keep rocking and teaching for justice.
Name one person the audience should follow on social media.
Pero everyone here.
Who is the best evil character, Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers?
All 3, because I don't like scary movies.
What has been the craziest costume you've worn at school?
I was a pumpkin.
March Madness or the Super Bowl?
March Madness. I'm from Brooklyn. We love basketball.
Who played the character the best? Stallone in Rocky, Keanu Reeves as John Wick, or Arnold as the Terminator?
Keanu Reeves. Oh, Lord.
How can people get a hold of you, ma'am, and get your services?
I'm on Instagram at jarixa.v__.
Love it. Sofia, vámonos rápido. Give advice to a first-year assistant principal.
Do not deviate from what truly matters, and that is building a community of care, of learning, and of social change. Do not forget what matters.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student who inspires you as an educator.
Yes, so this is from my former student, Janet, that I taught sophomore English in 2016. This was from 2023, where she emailed me and said, "Hi, Ms. Gonzalez. This is Janet. I'm the new creative writing and science fiction teacher. I was actually your student back in 2014, 2015. And I remember you mentioning that it was your first year at Morton back then. You are honestly one of the biggest inspirations as to why I wanted to become an English teacher. It was so refreshing seeing a Latina as an English teacher, and you really made me feel empowered and valued with something I never felt prior to that year. So first and foremost, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart."
Eso! Así me gusta. Send some flowers to an active educator who inspires you in your work.
Right now, I mean, again, there's so many people, but I want to give a shout out to my girl, Nicole Green. You could follow her, Mrs. G. She also goes by Miss G. She was just recently New York Teacher of the Year finalist. She's a champion for the neurodivergent community, a fellow activist, and a champion for kids.
All right, you just answered the next question. Who is the best evil character, Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers?
I'm with Yaritza. Life is scary enough, so I don't do scary movies. But if I were to say, it would be Freddy, because that dude can come at you in your dreams. That's too much.
What is the best and craziest costume you've worn at school?
I mean, it was kind of lame. I was a Starbucks barista, but at night I was Karol G that year.
March Madness or the Super Bowl?
You know what, Super Bowl, porque Bad Bunny ya va a venir. Bad Bunny's gonna blow up that stage in Spanish. He's got everybody learning Spanish.
Who played their character the best? Stallone in Rocky, Keanu Reeves as John Wick, or Arnold as the Terminator?
Man, like I can't get past Sly Stallone running up those steps in Philly. Come on, man.
How can people get a hold of you, young lady?
Sophia Speaks on all my platforms, LinkedIn, X, and IG, baby.
Eso. Sheldon, ahí vamos. Give advice to a first-year assistant principal.
No matter what you do, you'll never be caught up. There's always going to be more work to do.
Facts. Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student who inspired you as an educator.
This is from a participant in one of my sessions not too long ago. What could have been a run-of-the-mill information session was anything but. I enjoyed your interaction and appreciate the encouragement to the attendees and to participate, and thought the breakout was a terrific way to keep us all involved. I like to think I'm pretty well-intentioned, but I learned areas where I can absolutely improve. Thank you.
Nice. Send some flowers to an active educator who inspires you in your work.
Got to give a shout out to Dwight Carter, my boy out in Ohio.
Name one person the audience should follow on social media.
Dwight Carter as well.
Who is the best evil character, Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers?
Freddy all day.
What has been the craziest costume you've worn at school?
I was a king last year, so that was fun.
What March Madness or the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
Who played their character the best? Rocky, John Wick, or the Terminator?
I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan, so we're going John Wick.
How can people get a hold of you, señor? ¿A dónde?
At Sheldon Akins on all the platforms.
Eso. Dr. Don Parker. Give advice to a first-year assistant principal.
Hey, if it was easy, everybody would do it. So keep fighting.
Facts. Saludos to my sister from South Carolina, Chica, Houston, part of the Fantastic Four. Thank you for being here. Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student who inspired you as an educator.
All right, former student, Dr. Parker, I appreciate you. You never gave up on me. When I was expelled for bringing a paint gun to school, you always called to check up on me and told me not to quit. So I just wanted to let you know right now, I am an EMT. I'm a certified nurse. Right now, I'm going back to school to become a doctor. Thank you for your encouragement along the way. I appreciate you. Much love, bro. Much respect.
Eso. Send some flowers to an active educator who inspires you in your work.
Woo, you know what? I got to go with principal leader Yatunde Reeves. She's a principal and she is doing great things. Follow her on Facebook and social media.
Name one person the audience should follow on social media.
Yep, I just told you.
Gotcha.
Yatunde Reeves.
Who's the best evil character, Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers?
Oh, man. It got to be Freddy, man. He got those things coming out his gloves, claw you up for sure.
What has been the craziest costume you've worn at school, sir?
Whew. Well, not too crazy. Last Halloween, while I wore to school, I just put on a Michael Jordan uniform. So I was Michael Jordan.
March Madness or the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl, hands down, because you don't get a halftime show for March Madness.
Who played it best? Stallone as Rocky, Keanu Reeves as John Wick, or Arnold as a Terminator?
I love martial arts and fighting and action, so I got to say Keanu Reeves.
How can people bring you to their school, to their conference, and buy your books? Donde?
Hey, that's awesome. You know what? You can email me at drdonparker@drdonparker.com. Follow me on LinkedIn at drdonparker.com. Follow me on Facebook at drdonparker.com. And then go to my website, again, drdonparker.com.
Carnal, vamos a terminar. Let's finish, hermano. Here we go. Real quick, give advice to first-year assistant principal.
Don't go in there talking all the rigor and educational jargon. Tell people what you don't know. Be okay with that. If you do know, model. And if you don't know, learn alongside them.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student who inspired you.
Is okay if I read one I wrote?
Sure.
So I was in New York over the weekend and I saw a teacher who wrote me a letter when I graduated high school telling me I should be a teacher. So I wrote this: teachers are so important in the lives of young people, especially those who've had a rough start. I met Coach Austin when I was 16 years old. He was a teacher at Longwood High School on Long Island in New York, and I had just been expelled, and he was assigned to my home instruction for the entire week. At first, I wasn't sure about him, but that week, became a connection that helped set my life in the right direction. He also predicted I would become a teacher one day, and I put that note into the post. At the time, I was in foster care, living in a group home and searching for love and for direction. Austin, he got me into soccer, running, and even invited me to his home with his family over the holidays, something I've never forgotten. For a long time, I thought that the bond him and I had was unique until I saw his Facebook timeline and realized that he's touched hundreds and thousands of lives. This man is a legend, and it's evident in all the posts I've seen online about him. So here's the purpose of this post, of this letter. Tell your people what they mean to you while they're still here. As many of you know, I'm not in New York anymore or much these days, but I had to take a moment to see him in person and let him know.
I love that post.
Yeah.
I love that post, brother. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sending me that text. That was beautiful. Send some flowers to an active educator who inspires you in your work.
Lauren Kaufman, she's also in New York, and I put her ex in the chat.
Name one person the audience should follow on social media.
Everyone in this panel. Everyone in this panel.
Who is the best evil character, Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers?
Mike Myers. So Halloween was the first movie I saw in the movie theater. My mom she was crazy. I was 3 years old, and I had nightmares about that until I was an adult. Like come home late and you got to put the key in the door and it's dark. I'd be hearing the song and I, think the guy was coming. So Michael Myers.
What has been the craziest costume you've worn at school?
I ain't do all that, man.
What was it? March Madness or Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
Who played their character the best? Rocky, John Wick, or the Terminator?
All right. So John Wick and the Terminator are not relatable to everyone, but everyone can be the underdog. So Rocky.
How can people get a hold of you, senor?
Website is lifelonglearningdefined.com and social media on all platforms at George Does PBL. That is JORGE Does PBL.
Thank you, panel, for an awesome, almost 2-hour show. You have no excuses out there in America. It doesn't matter where in the 50, if not the world. We got people from Africa here, from New Zealand, past guests from all over the world. We're all in it together. It doesn't matter because the stories that we've heard from different parts, it's still the same thing. It's about nurturing that trust and that love for our students, ensuring that we connect with them because they are the future of that country. They're the future of the United States. This beautiful melting pot that we call the US of A. And it's our job to make sure that we learn from each other. We always pick up that knowledge via PD, podcast, conferences, whatever it might be. And you've got all of this 76 episodes plus the Fantastic Four, all 3 shows on Saturday, and it's free to you. We know that no longer are the days of going to a conference with 10 people. That is out the window for the foreseeable future. And now you've got all this in your hands, and you've got caring and loving educators here that you could hear it in their voice, in su voz, and how they talk to you and the way they express each other about their love, their connection for kids and what they do, because they're all builders, and they were chosen by him to be around not only educators, but the future of this country. So please make sure that you like and share this show. Please make sure that you like and share all the other Fantastic Four. And don't forget to join us for episode 77, The Happy Show. All the All-Stars next week. Thomas Murray, Merlana Valentine, Chip Baker, Laura Williams, and Dave Burgess will be here because you know what? This is a time when people start percolating and the negativity starts going, and we don't need that. Most importantly, your scholars don't need that because they need the best version of you. The second they step in, they need to see that washy. They need to see that beautiful face and that inspiration, knowing that you love what you're doing and making sure that they feel that love from you. Panel, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Hold on, panel. Do not join us next week. Like and share it. Thank you very much for being here and giving us some